My name is Vinicius de Carvalho. I am reader for Brazilian and Latin American Studies at Department of War Studies at King's College London, covering aspects of course, security, defense, and strategy for Latin America, South Atlantic, Brazil in particular, and also associate fellow here at RUSI. It's a great honor for me to be chairing this panel, and I thank RUSI for the invitation, and also a great honor to be chairing specifically and particularly in such a topic that we are already living with for more than 2 years now, no? For 2 years.
700 years, exactly.
Good point.
Today is the first day.
The first day of
after 700 days. 700
days. That means that the topic is still very relevant, and sometimes in Latin America, because we were so far geographically, people didn't realize how impactful and important and how much the region should engage in this issue in particular. I am here today with Ruslan Spirin, who was the ambassador of Ukraine to Mexico from 2012 to 2020. He's graduating in Kiev State Linguistic University and also in the Diplomatic Academy of Ukraine under the Minister of Foreign Affairs, also in the National Academy of Public Administration under the President of Ukraine. I will not read all the posts that he had served in Latin America, but I must tell you that probably is one of those diplomats that from Mexico to Brazil covered many parts of Latin America, knowing so well the region and also operating and working in the region as the most important role right now as the special representative to Latin America and the Caribbean from Ukraine. So without much ado, I just want to thank you again to be here with us. I would like to highlight and remind us that we are talking on the record, and when we have the discussions with the audience, please be short, objective, and speak clear and well articulated, because we have colleagues and friends that are online listen to us, and they need to listen to questions as well. And I would like to start kicking out our conversation. That's more than just a lecture, but I just want to ask you, what do Latin America could do more for Ukraine today?
Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity to be here, and I will share with you all the situation, all the information, all the feelings with the Ukrainian people there having the war. It's not about conflict. I heard many times that somebody called this conflict between some neighbors, but it's a war. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a real war. And I'll give you some special statistic things, and you will analyze yourself without me, but with my information. So first of all, I would like to avoid the situation that somebody have a question, but we have no time. So that's why I prepared this kind of QR code. If you like, you can scan it, and here is my contacts, direct contacts, and you will ask me everything, and I'll answer this question. And in Spanish, or Portuguese, and English, you are very welcome. So here it's recorded, and anytime you have my direct contacts. So about the question, Latin America for us, for Ukraine, it's something special exactly this year, because this year our government, our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, developed the first strategy for development of relations between Ukraine and the region of Latin America. Exactly the 10th of January of this year was developed, and we can have this strategy for 5 years, in just the nearest period. So Ukrainian diplomacy systematically implements the tasks of our president to open the horizons for Ukraine in the world, and in the 2023 it was about Africa. And this year, 2024, will be the year of Ukraine's return to the region of Latin America and the Caribbean. This strategy is a strategic planning document aimed at bringing political, trade, economic, cultural, humanitarian, and other spheres of cooperation at a new qualitative level. It defines the main directions of Ukraine's activities in the region in terms of countering the aggression of Russian Federation. We need to provide support in order to restore just peace in our country and the post-war reconstruction. And these following goals were relatively more important of relation between Ukraine and the countries of Latin America and in the Caribbean. Ensuring support of Ukraine from the countries, answer your question, of the region. In countering the Russian aggression, deoccupation of territorially occupied territory of Ukraine, temporarily occupied, restoration of sovereignty and territorial integrity of our state within the internationally recognized borders, ensuring the participation of the countries of Latin America and Caribbean in the implementation of peace formula of President Zelensky, assisting of Ukraine experts in entering the markets of the Latin American countries, increase the trade and investments volumes, support Ukrainian communities in those countries. It's one of the questions, just to mention there, what Latin America and the Caribbean could do for facilitate the situation in Ukraine. So, it's what the first question.
Good, good. Thank you so much. One thing that has been calling my attention recently, and especially since the end of last year, the discussion was always that Ukraine is too far away, it doesn't affect directly Latin America. How do you think this war in Ukraine today, the aggression that Russia is committing against Ukraine today, affect Latin America? And how much Latin Americans should be looking at that in order to understand and to engage more?
Well, impact is not just only for Latin America, but in all over the world. We are talking about Russian aggressions and about the impact of the global security. Russia is violating not just some rules, but probably the basic rules of Latin America and basic rules of the world and the Charter of United Nations. I'm talking about violence of the system of nuclear security. I'm talking about the violation of system of energy security, radiation, environment security, food security, devastating effects of cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, all of that things, it's impacting the, not just Latin American countries, but all over the world. And that's why we have to be joined and we have to declare one reason and one position against the aggressor, and Latin America and the Caribbean as well, like a part of the whole democratic world.
We saw some sort of variation on the intensity of the support for Ukraine and the condemnation of the violations of those international order by Russia. We saw, for instance, countries like Chile, where the president was quite vehemently defending the positions of Ukraine and condemning Russia. In other countries, and I must say even my country, Brazil, not so strongly vocal. So why do you think this distinction, and what should be probably the approach of Ukraine today in order to get more the attention of Latin American countries that are not so effusively defending Ukraine today?
Every country in all of the world, it's a different world in itself. It's have their own politics and the vision, not just only for the world, but the own region in Latin America. So they are different, and every country have their norms, and that's why they are different. So we can't tell about the region like just unique, just the one unit, because there are different countries there, and we would like to ensure that they will come to a conclusion that all this region, without any extension, will help to the country who is the victim here in this war, because we can see exactly that there is one of them is aggressor, and another country is a sovereign country that is victim. So any country in the whole of the world, in this region as well, can understand that it's true. And if the country don't become of the victim in their own region, they have to help to support the country in another region as well.
Good point. I think probably the eyes of many Latin American countries get more open after what happened last year with the Venezuelan claim over a big part of Guyana. It's not exactly the same thing. There is not a war going on there, but it called out the attention of how much the weakening of the international system in which regards the sovereignty of countries in their territory can be affected by that. What do you think should be the lessons that Latin America should learn from what your countries experience because of these violations?
You know, this panel is about another things, how we could use the experience of the warriors of Latin American countries for resolving our situation. Mm-hmm. So we are talking about some questions. How does the Russian aggressive war against Ukraine resonate the geopolitical landscape of America? I'm just going to come there. And what are the political implications of regional alliances, diplomatic relations, security dynamics, and so on? And drawing from historical experience, how can lessons from past military conflicts in Latin America contribute to an announced understanding of conflict resolution here in Ukraine, and peace building and post-war recovery, and how might this insight be applied to the case of Ukraine? Okay, future of the Ukrainian conflict, it's not a conflict, it's a war, and actions required the civilization world to stop the aggression. This was a point. And we will be covering some of the main topics such as statistics. I would like to give you some principal facts about Russian aggression, famous territorial wars in Latin America, diplomatic relation, ideological political impact, security dynamics, lessons from the past of military, and so on. But first of all, what about lessons? I have to emphasize that in Latin America there were many, really many wars. You can imagine, but I will just name one of them. The Chaco War, 1931-1933, between Bolivia and Paraguay. It cost about 100,000 people died there. In the Pacific War, 1879-1883, between Chile, Peru, and Bolivia. Leticia dispute between Peru and Colombia. The wars between Peru and Ecuador, 3 of them. Wars between Colombia and Venezuela, 2. Wars between Brazil and Argentina, 2. Wars between Mexico and USA. Okay, just mentioned it. Another ongoing dispute, it's not a war but a dispute, it's Peru and Brazil over control of the Amazon region, Guatemala and Belize, territorial as well. Venezuela and Guyana, mentioned it. The wars for territorial claims and natural resources. That's what that we can see and analyze in this region. And this Latin American history of conflicts provide valuable lessons for us for conflict resolution, peace building, and post-war reconstruction. I have some notes for you, especially, but for not lose some of very important things. But in the world, any war probably, everything is crucial, have a crucial importance, a vital importance. So that's why I prefer read some notes to invite something. So those are valuable lessons. A resolution involves engaging in dialogue and diplomacy to build trust, reduce tensions, and find common ground. Second, conflict often arises from social, economic, and political issues. Tackling root causes is crucial for preventing future conflicts. 3, strong, inclusive institutions representing all the society help prevent and manage conflict. 4, initiatives like through Commission in Colombia and Guatemala, for example, acknowledge past atrocities, punish perpetrators, and promote reconciliation. Peace talks in Salvador and Nicaragua, for example, included not only political leaders, but also civilian society representatives. Post-war initiatives focused on job creation, education, and community development helped rebuild conflict-affected society. Similar strategies can probably aid Ukraine recovery. Implementing legal reforms and reparation for victims can address human rights violations and contribute to long-term stability as seen in Latin America. Conflicts were often mediated by international organizations and neighboring countries. These lessons offer a general understanding and for approaching conflicts, promoting peace, and rebuilding society. But we have some valuable lessons. We analyze them. We know about these lessons, but applying specific Latin America approaches to Russia aggression against Ukraine is challenging because of the unique nature of this ongoing war. It's characterized by unprecedented armed aggression, struggle for democracy, and the battle for Ukrainian identity that makes different from the past conflicts in Latin America. Since 2014, Russia's violation of international law, coupled with the global standing and previous role of guarantor of Ukraine's sovereignty, complicates the applicability of Latin American experience to this complex of ongoing war. So this is a more important moment of the situation, because Russia, it's not just occupied our territory. It's practically the global evil. And Ukraine is fighting, defending not just Europe, but all over the world against this universal threat. So those wars in Latin America, so difference. Territorial claims is one thing, and destroying of the nation is another thing, and violation of all security system for all the world. So it's something that's different, one world to another one.
Thanks for bringing some of the questions that we had agreed to do before. I was just provoking to see if we could get also some other points that I think it's important for Latin America to understand more and more clearly what is that reality that you are bringing here, this reality of war. Now, the wars that you mentioned, they were localized, they were with different contexts, as you mentioned very well. They had different approach that has no the dimension that we are seeing now in Ukraine. And I think what you think it's missing is still in Latin America to this perception be really more clear, because it seems that it's still not well engaged in the side of Ukraine in this case.
You know, not just only Latin America, but probably most of the countries, not most, but many countries in the world, they don't need the information about the situation in Ukraine. They don't have the global panorama of what is happening there. Calling this conflict, saying that there is a conflict between neighbors, saying that Ukraine is a part of Soviet Union, Russia, thinking that all 15 countries of Soviet Union were Russia, but it were absolutely different 15 countries. And now we have to explain, first of all, to open their eyes for the government and for the people of the Latin America, that's really, it's other worlds, that Ukraine and Russia is not the same. And now I think it's one of the good things of this war. And I know it sounds rare, but really Ukraine and all of the world understand that Ukraine is not Russia, is not a part of Russia. For sure, Ukraine has 2 times biggest, largest history than Russia. The Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, has more than 1,500 years, and Moscow just 870,000 years, twice. And for sure, Moscow was founded by great Duke of Kyiv. So, but Russia trying to come back all these territories of imperial. And we can find some special things in the history of the cycling of this war. No, it's the history and the history of cycling, the history of Russia as well, because they have three periods for Russia, for the development of Russia, not the development, but in his history. One of the period, it's a preparation for the war. Second one is the war, and the third one is restoration after the war. And the cycle start again. Preparation for war, and the recovery after war. Here is, I have some statistics for you. The chronology of Russian invasions. Just 1 century, 100 years. Russia will not stop. The last 10 years of Russian history as a cycle. 1918, starting with Ukraine. Then Poland, 1920. Azerbaijan, 1920. Georgia, 1921. China, 1929. Japan, 1933. 38. Poland, 39. Finland, 1939. Romania, 1940. Japan, and so on. Japan, China, North Korea, China, Hungary, Laos, Vietnam, Algeria, Egypt, Yemen, Syria, Czechoslovakia, China, Cambodia, Bangladesh, Angola, Ethiopia, Afghanistan, Lebanon, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Moldova, and 41 times of Russian aggression in just 1 century. Russia will not stop unless it's defeated. Over the past century, history has observed the Russian follows recurring cycle, preparing for the war, launching attacks, and recovering after. A glance at the list of countries victimizing the Russian aggression over the last century highlights this pattern. Russian historical cycles. So if somebody thinks that we will sign agreement with Russia today, it's forever. No way. In a little time, 2 years, 3 years, who knows, Russia will recuperate their forces, mobilize more soldiers, prepare more military equipment, and start to attack again. Will not finish with the war. It's the nature of this state, of mentality, probably, of this country. So we have to be prepared, not just for sign the agreement, but we have to be sure, we have to ensure our strategical guarantees of security, sustainable security for our children, for our grandchildren. all together we have to understand that Russia, it's an evil. And all alliances we have today, NATO, for example, it's not against some unknown object. It's just because Russia exists. And it's a threat for all over the world. That's why we need to come together, and Ukraine have to become a member of NATO, because NATO is a global player and have and can guarantee the security, sustainable security, stability for our country. That's why it's vitally important to understand. And Latin America and Caribbean and whole of the world have to understand it, that Ukraine is fighting for the future of whole of the world and against the global evil, if I explain.
Good, quite clear points. I think I could open now for the audience. If we have questions, please just put your hand up. We have the first one here, please. We probably could take 2 or 3 and then give you the chance, or you prefer one by one?
No, but one by one better.
Yeah, one by one is better. So please.
Thanks very much, Neil Melvin from RUSI. There's a very direct link between Latin American security, Ukrainian security, and European security at the moment, and that is the situation around what is happening in the US Congress, in which long-term military assistance to Ukraine has been linked to southern border security, which is really a question of migration, people trafficking, drugs, and so on. As we understand it, former President Trump has signaled that he's going to run on an anti-immigration campaign, so this issue is going to become much stronger. The linkage is going to be even more firm. So support to Ukraine is blocked by this Latin American US security issue. How can that be broken through? Is there a way that either the Europeans can do more on Latin American security? Can Ukraine find a way to sort of address this issue? Because I think it's becoming almost an intractable problem, this linkage, and is very much a new phenomenon where we haven't really thought about these ties before, but I think we've been talking about the sort of the global linkages now, and this one is really going to be an important one over the next year.
So the question is about immigration and the security as well. The immigration, you know, Ukraine have 45 million people of our population, and 11 million of them now, not since the start of this war, were immigrants to Europe, refugees. 5 million, they are come back to Ukraine, but another one have no possibility to hug their parents. I can even my case. I have a grandson. I have seen them if they just was born 2 years ago, and he have to leave our country and live now in Ireland. In 2 years, like any Ukrainian man, can possibility to leave country from 16 to 60 years old. So I don't had a possibility to hug my grandson in 2 years. I can see his first step, his first jump, his first word, first thing. It's without me. He's living in another place, and it's happened with 6 million of people of Ukraine. It's a tragedy. We have to stop it, yes, and we will. But now it's a problem. It's not so big problem for Europe because our people are integrated in the economy and the society of the people of Europe, because we are chosen, we have our choice with democracy, with Europe. We don't like all our people don't like to become once again as slavers of Russia. We will not to get back to the orbit or the influence of Moscow anymore. We like to live with civilized countries, with the democracies, and not the authoritarian regime in Russia. So we can profoundly integrate to the society of Europe, and we really appreciate all these countries because now we had another home. But at the same time, we are waiting that our people will be back to Ukraine after the war. And we need the help, and we can, and we are receiving this help. And what about the general situation and security as well? You understand, if we signed agreement with Russia about the peace, it doesn't work. We have to defeat Russia and to get out the troops from our country and sign this membership with NATO. So this is a point, and this is the answer.
Wonderful. I have another question here.
Hi, Vinicius. Question, we can see the pattern that whenever the Western countries impose sanctions, for example, Iran, Belarus, North Korea, Venezuela, we can see the pattern coming that Russia is going to these countries and giving them assistance, but also seeking the help. We can see the North Korean ammunition in war in Ukraine. We can see Iranian drones invading the Ukraine territory. Are you fearing that now, with the cooperation with Venezuela and the mercenaries and the gangs there, that will happen also in Ukrainian territory?
We can feel everything, because every day, if you then you're waking up, you don't go to the shop. First of all, you are calling to your parents, asking if they are still alive, and their homes not destroyed or damaged. We can feel every time this insurance that when you are working or doing something with your job, you understand that any time can fly the rockets, missiles, or drones from the part of Russia. And now Russia has the North Korean missiles and Iranian drones, kamikaze. So we can feel it. We are losing every day our parents, not on the territory of temporarily occupied by Russia, but in the whole of the territory of Ukraine. And we are talking about one of the biggest countries, his territory in Europe, 603,000 square kilometers. Russia now has temporarily occupied about 18% of our territory, and it's about 100,000 of square kilometers. So in whole of the territory, not just only in the front line, we can feel this fear about our parents, about ourselves, that we can die anytime because of this cooperation. But for those who doubt Ukraine's ability to defeat Russia's aggression and Ukraine's partners' ability to provide adequate support, consider this. Consider this. It's very interesting things. It gives us absolute confidence of our victory. Two numbers, no more. At the height of the Cold War, the age of Cold War, the so-called West considered of only 20 countries, West against social camp, Nevertheless, it's ultimately outcompeted the Soviet Union, its social blocs, both of which comprise 20 countries, sovereign state. Now Russia is alone, without any countries of Soviet Union. Today, only countries providing military aid to Ukraine through the Ukraine Defense Contact Group Ramstein number more than 50. Modern Russia is far weaker than the USSR, with only 3 outcast allies providing with weapons: Belarus, North Korea, and Iran. So, let's calculate. Cold War, 20 versus 20. And West gain this Cold War. 20 against 20. But now we have 50 against 4. The combined GDP of the current Western coalition provided military aid to Ukraine, it's 21 times greater than the combined GDP of Russia and these 3 alliances. The West have 57 trillion of US dollars, and Russia and the alliance 2.7. 57 against 2.7. Oh, one more. According to the Analytical Center of Defense, in NATO countries invested, if NATO countries invested nearly 0.25%, not even 1% of their GDP, 0.25 in military aid to Ukraine, it would generate 120 billion in defense support for Ukraine in each year, a sum large enough to assure Ukraine's victory and a just peace. So you can see that those 3 alliances of Russia is not enough for them to win this war. We will defeat altogether those evil global evil.
We still have time for quick questions, and I have 2 hands already. If we could collect the 2 questions, and then you have the last words on that. Please, you, and after you then.
Hello, my name is Alexander, RUSI member. Pan Ruslan, доброго дня. I have a question. So, what vision do you think the collective West, including Ukraine's strategic partners such as UK and US, have in case if Ukraine gains the territory of 1991 borders back? Thank you.
So, well, thank you very much. It's our Ukrainian citizenship, I think. Thank you very much. Really, we understand that one day we will defeat Russia and we will to get our borders from 1991, the control of our borders. So then we have to receive this insurance, the guarantees of the security stability, sustainable stability for us. So we are saying about this alliance with NATO and other countries who are supporting Ukraine. Really, everybody have to understand that it's not just a help to one friend of yours, saying military aid or financial support. It's not a help, it's not a support to your friend. It's investing in your own security. And the majority of the countries in Europe and in the world understand it. It's investment in their own security. It's because it's much more easy, effective to pay for Ukrainians who dies fighting for you than pay with the blood of their own citizenship. So we need this alliance. The first of the more important things for our Ukrainian foreign policy is integrate to the the European Union. And the second one, most important things, crucial important, to become the member of the NATO organization. So all together we will find this solution and we will defeat Russia.
We still have one question here, and then we can conclude our panel.
Hello, my name is Marina Delarghi. My area of expertise is Russian, Eurasian, Chinese cognitive warfare and its influence on Western societies and also shaken statehood. So Ukraine is very strong, and Ukraine show that how to tackle with Russian influence. And this is not the secret that now in Latin America there are a lot of operations and everything and Russian influence, and we will see in the nearest year a lot of that. So I would like to ask you about the plans and if something is going on between Ukraine and Latin America cooperation relationship. So because Ukraine now has very strong academics on strategic narratives, how to tackle with Russian influence, and and on cognitive warfare. So my question is about, because Ukraine actually can consult the world about how to tackle effective Russian influence. So is it any cooperation between Ukraine and groups or any plans on that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, a quick answer for that, because we need to close soon. Sorry.
Okay, we will close quickly. Ukraine governed our president prioritize relations with Latin America and the Caribbean. We propose Ukraine-Latin American summit where President Zelensky addressed the community and explained the situation with Russia war. In the struggle against the Russian invasion, we are going political support from most Latin American countries, and first during the voting of the pro-Ukrainian resolution of the United Nations and other international organizations. We also thank the representatives of Latin American countries for their participation in the regular meeting of national security and foreign policy advisors. In Davos this time, in the implementation of the Ukrainian peace formula. Peace formula is more important things for us and for every country in the whole of the world. If they will implement this formula, we will guarantee our sustainable stability and security. It was short.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Ruslan, thank you so much. Dziękuję.
Thank you, Martin.
Obrigado. Gracias.
Muito obrigado.
Thank you so much. I think your message was quite clear and sounding for us here about the role of Latin America and how much Ukraine and Latin America can work together to the solution of this war and to the recovery of peace in the territory of Ukraine. Thank you, and please, let's join.